Welcome to Ambassador's Daily Banquet. I am God's servant David F. Nwefulu. Prepare your heart for fresh revelation that will empower your faith.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're looking at a truly fascinating document. It's a devotional by Ambassador David Felix Nwefulu, dated June 18th, 2026, and it's titled The Holy Spirit, Divine Direction for Effective Ministry. Now, what makes this specific text so compelling is how it builds this incredible bridge. It starts with deeply personal, internal theology, and then, right before your eyes, scales that all the way out to a massive, highly organized international mission. Here's our roadmap for today. First, direction for effective service. Second, the biblical foundation. Third, cultivating divine guidance. Fourth, the global souls mission. And finally, we'll look at the worldwide network. All right, Section 1. Direction for effective service, the core theological premise. Right out of the gate, the author explicitly redefines what ministry actually is. He argues it's not merely about effort or knowledge, but, and this is key, obedience to the Spirit's direction. The fundamental premise here is that human effort alone, no matter how well-intentioned you are or how much knowledge you possess, it's just simply insufficient for effective service. The claim the document makes is that it is strictly the Spirit that equips, empowers, and directs believers to actually fulfill their mandate. Moving right along to Section 2, the biblical foundation. This is all about grounding that theology. To back up this claim, the author points straight to the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, verses 15 through 18. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. And it continues on to say, And these signs shall follow them that believe. Now, this really matters because the author uses these historical models, Jesus and the apostles, to justify the absolute necessity of divine wisdom for modern expansion. The argument is that their every teaching, every healing, and every miracle was perfectly guided by this exact same direct connection. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is the stark, uncompromising contrast drawn between human wisdom and divine guidance. It's a real night and day comparison. On one side, human planning is depicted almost like mechanical gears, prone to failure, rigid, and ultimately lacking eternal impact if it's done without guidance. But on the exact opposite side, Spirit-directed ministry is presented as a living, supernatural force that produces visibly transformed lives. It's a very clear binary presented to the reader. Without this Spirit, human efforts will fail, but with it, those efforts produce supernatural results. Okay, Section 3, Cultivating Divine Guidance. Let's get into the practical application. So, how do you actually do this? Well, the devotional lays out a really precise 4-step procedural method. Step 1, prayer. Step 2, meditation. Step 3, active listening. And finally, Step 4, immediate obedience. The author heavily stresses that once a prompting is heard, believers literally have to act instantly, without a single second of hesitation. But hold on, that brings us to a rather crucial caveat mentioned in the source material. As this quote highlights, divine direction often requires stepping beyond comfort zones. This emphasizes that the final step we just talked about, that immediate obedience, well, it isn't meant to be easy or comfortable. The text warns followers that they're frequently going to be required to take difficult, unfamiliar, or even challenging actions based purely on the guidance they are taught to actively listen for. Which brings us to Section 4, the Global Souls Mission. We are pivoting to scale. Up until now, the focus has been deeply internal, right? It's been highly personal. But look at the staggering scale of the number we have here. 500 million. This is where the document officially introduces Operation 500 Million Souls for Christ for all nations. So the crucial point is that the author takes that intimate concept of Spirit-led ministry we just covered and essentially uses it as the engine for a massive worldwide logistical target. Now, to actually hit a numerical goal of that magnitude, you have to mobilize. And the organization mobilizes its base in 3 highly specific ways. First, you have the prayer partner, who intercedes daily. Then, the volunteer missionary, serving physically on the ground, either short or long term. And third, the kingdom investor, financially supporting the vision through consistent giving. It is a highly strategic, trifold approach to activating a massive base. And the text gets highly specific about the logistics for that kingdom investor role. They have established a surprisingly sophisticated international banking setup, providing direct giving channels across 4 major global currencies: the Nigerian Naira via UBA Bank, US dollars, British pounds, and euros. They even provide the specific international sort codes and SWIFT codes in the newsletter. It really neutrally illustrates the robust financial infrastructure designed to support a truly international movement.
Finally, Section 5, the Worldwide Network, achieving that 24/7 global reach.
Looking at just a quick sample on this schedule, this brilliantly illustrates the organization's literal 24-hour global reach. The devotional lists specific, highly coordinated prayer times for over 20 different countries. Think about it. When it's midnight in Nigeria, followers are organized to pray at 6 a.m. in Indonesia, 6 p.m. in the USA, and 11 p.m. in the UK. By scheduling believers across all these overlapping time zones, the movement effectively orchestrates a continuous, unbroken chain of prayer spanning the entire globe.
But it's not just about coordinating time zones. It's about leveraging technology to build a community. They utilize an extensive daily digital ecosystem. For example, there are specific WhatsApp groups for midnight prayer, tongues declarations, and, quite interestingly, an ambassador's business tycoon group. Throw in Telegram podcasts and a massive social media footprint across Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and you have a comprehensive digital netcast out every single day. The goal is clearly to keep believers constantly connected, empowered, and mobilized. So we've traced this source material all the way from its core theological premise of personal divine guidance right through to its massive global financial and digital operations. At the very end of the devotional, the author presents a core life application to their followers. Looking at everything we've unpacked today, it leaves us with a provocative final thought to consider for ourselves. Are your efforts guided by human wisdom or the Spirit's direction? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.
Thank you for watching. Please share, like, and comment. Your host, God7, David F. Wafulu.